What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Thursday's late night agenda. I do apologise that I'm a couple of minutes late. Oh, and hitting the microphone. Connor just dropped in on the way back from the airport from his holiday, so I was just chatting away with him for a few minutes. But are we good? I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Loads for us to go through tonight. We're going to be asking who's going to sign Michael Elise. Are Liverpool really in with a chance to sign Lenny Yoro, or is what we all believe is going to happen, which is Real Madrid come in and get their man? And then we're going to ask the question that I've already seen asked in the chat many times: how can they keep signing all these players? We're going to go through it all. We're going to ask who's at Taylor Swift tonight. The answer, Jurgen Klopp, and a few other bits and pieces. But most importantly, we're going to discuss the transfer window as a whole, because it does get underway tomorrow. 14th of June, transfer window opens, so we can sign players. So let's hope that we do. I really do appreciate you guys coming in as always, and anything you'd like to discuss, you know the drill. Throw it into the chat and we'll get there. Remember, nice early likes on the stream as well if you can. Right, let's get cracking. Welcome back, Connor. I know, I felt it's been ages. It's the longest, I think, since I haven't spoke to Connor in about 8 or 9 days since he's been away. It's the longest I think we've gone in a while without speaking, so it was lovely to catch up with him. I'm going to the Liverpool show, said Tyler Slaney. Mate, thank you. I can't wait to meet you. Thank you for coming along as well. It's going to be a good night. And to anyone else that's coming along to the Liverpool or Cardiff shows, thank you. Got the ticket update last night again from Liverpool, which is we're closing in. We're closing in. Those beautiful sold out words are going to be coming out soon, but I really do appreciate you all coming along. I wish it was more like Taylor Swift and we could sell out Anfield for 3 nights, but well, who am I kidding? There's no way I'd be able to go on stage with that many people. Can you lend me some money, John? Well, he seems to have it stashed away a little bit, Dave, doesn't he? And ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed going to be asking that age-old question tonight. Where is the money, John? Where is the money? Because there's loads of talk. For instance, the Lenny Yoro stuff. Before we really get stuck into that, I feel like we've all seen this scene play out before, right? Liverpool interested in an undoubted generational talent of a centre-back or a player, only to lose out to him after Real Madrid come in and, you know, actually do the business. So I feel like that's what we're getting dressed up for here. David Ornstein has confirmed Liverpool's interest in Lenny Yoro, but has also confirmed in the same piece on The Athletic that the expectation is that Real Madrid will come in, and I'm going to take you through the information from the Madrid side of that as well. We're going to look back at a big mistake last night in the USA-Brazil game. I'm not sure if you guys watched it, but if that happened in the Premier League game, what happened last night, I will be losing my mind. And a few other bits and pieces. A little bit of uncertainty about what the best position for Ryan Gravenberch is. Yeah, other than that, whatever you guys want to discuss, let's get into it. Right, so, Yes Global started off with hashtag Chiesa. Now, I've got to say, I'm very much of the belief that Chiesa is a bargain at the price that we're looking at. You know, if Juventus are going to sell, and it looks like they are, because he won't sign a new deal based off what we're hearing so far. You know, we know that Thiago Motta has gone in now and become Juventus's new manager, replacing Allegri, but it still seems as though Federico Chiesa has his mindset on leaving. So, should we be in this race? I think if you're at 20 million quid, yes. Even if he isn't the primary target, he is somebody that could be useful. And, you know, if we do lose a forward, that gives us a little bit more versatility as well. Evening, Craig, bro. Hope you're well, said David Massett. Always lovely to see you in, David. Thank you. Always good, bro. Always good. Look forward to 8:30, you know, so I can come on here chat with you guys. We've got a nice little routine. My wife's gone to the gym. I'm here with you guys. My son's upstairs playing the Xbox. Win-win. I'd rather Griezmann over Chiesa. Really? I mean, I'm not going to say Antoine Griezmann hasn't got capabilities as a player, because of course he has. But he's also 33 years of age, a bit of a distraction. Whereas at least with Chiesa, you know, you can look to the future. And you're going to get, what is he, 25, Chiesa, 26? So, you know, you've still got a good few years left there. Whereas Griezmann, I mean, for me, no. But I can see the appeal. He scores goals. But I don't know, not for me. Would Chiesa really be happy as a bench player? I mean, it's a fair question, Stephen, but I would ask this question of a lot of squads. You know, we say he wouldn't mind not necessarily being the starting 11, right? But how many opportunities in a season would he get to play? Probably quite a few. Between rotation, injuries, the fact that we're in 4 competitions and we'll probably play 60 odd games, maybe more, I'd say yes, there'd be enough there to keep him busy and give people a rest. And yeah, I think yes, he would be happy. I think he'd get enough opportunities. I don't see it being likely though, because he'll go elsewhere. Yeah, I mean, it's mad. Same with Dybala. The fact that he's available for about £10 million or €12 million and nobody's yet pulled the trigger on that deal, whether it be another Premier League club or a club somewhere in Europe. There's some good deals available this summer. And I've said this for quite a while. It feels like a buyer's market coming into this window. Best part of my day, my first ever transfer window as a fan. Well, I hope, Elk70, and thank you for your super chat, I hope it's a positive transfer window, because there's a lot of expectation from me with regards to the support I want the manager to be given. And I feel like we're getting set up for frustration, if I'm being honest with you, but I hope that's not the case. Apparently we're not giving up on Yoro. Yeah, I'm going to go through it all. Don't worry, I've got the whole Athletic article that I'll read through for you guys as well. So look, let's get straight into it. Let's get straight into the Lenny Yoro conversation. So, Fabrizio Romano started off today by saying, Liverpool like Lenny Yoro alongside Real Madrid and PSG. So no big surprises there. But then David Ornstein came out, and initially this was just tweeted out, but there was an article that accompanied it. And it said, Liverpool and Manchester United actively pursuing deal to sign Lenny Yoro from Lille. Liverpool and United see Real Madrid as favourites, but pushing hard for the 18-year-old centre-back, viewed as a unique market opportunity separate to other targets. Now that's kind of important. He said, this is one of those deals that Liverpool and United wouldn't have on their top priority target. More, it's the right opportunity, so let's put a play in. But they're not expecting the deal. This becomes more apparent when I read through the article, which I will do now. But before I do, Rachel Todd, thank you Rachel for your super chat, my friend, said, what time does the transfer window open tomorrow? I think it's probably like 9 a.m. or something, but I know it closes at 11 p.m. on August 30th, but I'm sure whenever the business opens, whenever the banks open, whenever, I don't know, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., something like that, maybe even midnight. So anyway, let me read through this article for you, and it's headlined, Lille's Lenny Yoro actively pursued by Manchester United and Liverpool. And the piece said, Liverpool, now I'm going to move this over to me so I can read it. Liverpool and Manchester United are actively pursuing a deal to sign Lille centre-back Lenny Yoro, albeit with an acceptance that Real Madrid may ultimately win the contest. How depressing is that, first of all? Liverpool and United want a player, but are already sort of maybe accepting that Real Madrid are going to win. It's an age-old tale, this one, for us Liverpool fans. It goes on to say, and by the way, this article is on The Athletic. If you have an Athletic subscription, please go and have a read of it yourself. Yoro has emerged as one of the most coveted players in Europe after a fine season for the league club, and is set to leave this summer or as a free agent in 12 months. French champions Paris Saint-Germain are also among those strongly interested in the 18-year-old, who is not expected to extend his Lille contract, which finishes in June 2025. Lille president Oliver Letang confirmed on Wednesday that Yoro, as well as Canada striker Jonathan David, whose terms expire on the same day, will both be allowed to exit. They go on to talk about Lenny Yoro being at Wembley, watching Real Madrid beat Dortmund in the final. Then they go on to say, but that has not discouraged sides, including Liverpool and Manchester United, from pushing hard to try to entice Lenny Yoro, especially given the rarity of such a fine talent being available for transfer. They, alongside PSG, are known to have made more concrete advances so far and would all be prepared to offer competitive or favourable conditions. Yet there remains an anticipation that Real Madrid will step forward, perhaps later in the process, and prevail. The British teams view Lenny Yoro as a unique market opportunity rather than a fundamental part of their recruitment plans. That's a very key phrase that David Ornstein has written there for me. So I'm going to read it again. The British teams, Liverpool and United, view Yoro as a unique market opportunity rather than a fundamental part of their recruitment plans. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this part of the problem? Real Madrid, which we'll go on to go into more detail on in a second, look at Lenny Yoro and see him as the future and as somebody you have to go and get. Whereas Liverpool United view it as a unique opportunity but not a priority. That's not screaming confidence in your abilities to me, but they go on to say plans requiring an alternative solution if he cannot be landed, although in this case of Manchester United, they do intend to strengthen in that position regardless. Well, so do Liverpool. Liverpool are absolutely going to bring in a centre-back this window. But this is the really interesting part of all of this for me and gives you an insight into how Madrid go about their business. So this analysis comes from Real Madrid correspondent Mario Cartagena. Said Madrid, through their chief scout and his staff, have been following Lenny Yoro for a long time. Their scouting reports were completed with the label FER, which apparently means to sign. Because he's considered a generational talent, the label means the scouting department advises that the player should be signed regardless of his price or any concerns over how they would immediately fit into the squad. That is astonishing to hear. So again, I'm going to read this out. The label means that the scouting department advises the club that the player, in this case Lenny Yoro, should be signed regardless of the price and regardless over any concerns of whether he can fit into the team straight away, because they're looking to the future. Since then, Real Madrid's general manager Jose Angel Sanchez has led talks, and there have been several meetings with the Frenchman's entourage who have gave very positive indications about his intentions to play for the Spanish club. But further progress is subject to Real Madrid meeting Lille's financial demands. The French club are asking for more than €100 million from Real Madrid, following the same logic that defines their interest in Bayern Munich's Alphonso Davies. Real Madrid see the player's value as being much lower because Yoro's contract ends in 2025. So the long and short of all of this is that Real Madrid feel like they can play the waiting game, and that because they are Real Madrid and they can offer guaranteed success pretty much, they're confident they're going to get their man. That's what we're up against. So this is why I complain a bit about a transfer business. There's so much in that to go through. Let's start off with the price tag. It's ludicrous for a player with 1 year to go, asking €100 million for an 18-year-old kid. Even if he is a generational talent, I don't think they're going to get that money. But look at what they've said there about Madrid, that they want to sign him, no matter how much it costs them, or if he's ready to go into the first team, because they know longer term he's going to be a superstar and he's going to fit in and become a Madrista. That tells you the difference. They are building to win. And then you look at Liverpool and Manchester United and you hear, well, yeah, they like him. He's a generational talent, but he's not in their immediate plans. That's why you don't sign these players, because you're going into a half-arsed. If you go talk to the kid and the kid says, I want to go play to Real Madrid, like Arlene Tchouameni did, sound. Let him go to Real Madrid. That's fine. But it gets a little bit tiresome constantly being linked with generational talents and never ever getting a deal done. Stop talking about us with these players if you know we're not going to sign them. Because I feel like us fans get our hopes up and then we get to see him wearing a Madrid jersey. Craig, are Liverpool really preparing a bid for Neves? As for spending money this summer, I can see Slot working with the academy players, pushing them into the first team contention. And thank you, Stevie Boy, for your super chat. To answer your question, I don't know on the first part of it. I know, the same as everybody else, that Neves is on a list of players that Liverpool will look at in that position, but it's hard to say here confidently, yes, Liverpool are going to put forward a bid, when only the other day we're hearing that Liverpool aren't sure if they're going to dip into the defensive midfielder market. So if we're not sure about the position, the odds of us really going in and putting €100+ million offer down, I don't see those two things as being connected, unless the club are kind of playing it cool and then boom. But I wouldn't be holding my breath on it. Now, we did hear from the Portuguese side that they expect that offer this week, so I guess we'll figure it out soon enough. And with regards to the manager's spending in the summer, that's my big fear, is that that's what FSG are going to do. That is the fear. Because if you bring in a manager that isn't Jurgen Klopp, yes, he will bring through youth players and work with them. Of course he will. That's his talent, much like Jurgen Klopp. He's great at developing young players. But he has to have the here and now players, because FSG can continuously write off seasons. Talking about future projects down the line. When do we get to win? When do we get to go out and actually put the team together without a deficiency and look at it and go, that's a good squad. That's a squad that's complete, that isn't missing a player or two. It just feels like, again, we're being managed to expect the bare minimum, and it isn't good enough. I've been too nice over the last while to our owners. They need to just put their hand in their pockets at this point, and I'm going to keep calling it out because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being told how brilliant we are as a club, how much money we generate, but yet we're always paupers in the transfer market. The con has to stop. It has to stop. Where is the fucking money, John? Pay up. Make us competitive and stop relying on managers to pull miracles out their arse. Yes, we all want youth players through. Yes, we want the manager to improve the playing staff that are already at the club. But we also want to win. Not just qualify for the Champions League, John. Not just get that money back into the bank account every year. But I want to go into the Champions League to win it. I want to go into the Premier League to win it. And that's what a Declan Rice does. That's what a Rodri does. That's a statement signing. We're once again having our balls tickled, but we're being left with blue balls by the end of it. So the heartbreak begins. Watching all the players linked with us being gobbled up by others. Where's the money, John? You'll never walk alone, Craig. Thank you, not so sneaky Pete. I know at the heart of it, my whole where's the money, John, is just a bit of a catchphrase. But there's real meaning behind it for me. I'm getting fed up of the apologists for our owners. I'm getting a pain in my arse being told that they saved the club. The fuck they did. They didn't save the club. They went and they seen a good opportunity and they bought the club. And we've all given them the credit for the good stuff they do. But they need to be called out on being tight arses. And if you're one of those people that are happy with it and think that this is the Liverpool way and all of that stuff, I respect your opinion. That's absolutely fine. But don't come and have a go at the rest of us for wanting to have ambition. You can be happy, content, go to the games. I respect that. Fair play to you. But don't have a go at us when we just want to be competitive. Because I don't know. It hurts me when we finish second. It hurts me when we lose another Champions League final. It hurts me when we get to another final and come up just short. Because we can see the little things. We can see the small little positions. The little lack of depth. The players who, they're injury prone. Well, we knew that 2 years ago and we still haven't resolved the deficiencies in the squad. So, what's the point in bringing everybody back, putting the band back together, unless we're going to see action? Now, the problem here is that I can sit here and moan about the lack of money being spent. And the response I'll get is, and it's understandable, the window hasn't opened yet, Craig. Wait and see. That was grand for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. But here we are again. And it feels like we're being set up for frustration. Because the talk is there. The same talk we hear every window. The money's there for generational talent. Well, where is this generational talent? Because we're yet to buy one. We've been linked with everyone that's come around in the last 10 years, but we've never got one. So when can we get that generational talent? Or shut the fuck up lying to us about the money being available? Stephen Johnson, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my friend. Appreciate you. I've decided no more Mr. Nice Guy, by the way. I'm done with it. I'll be nice to my community, of course, but it's us against the world. And I'm done with it now. I'm done with the club ignoring us. I'm done with trying to please everybody. I'm just going to be me and call this shit out. So, if FSG don't pony up, then I'm going to be here every goddamn day calling John cheap and making sure that I have my say. Because there's too many brown nosers now. There's too many people just towing the fucking company line. We deserve better than we're getting from these owners in the market. And hiding over in Boston and the other side of the world. Something he said last week really bothered me. He was talking about the Red Sox and he said, myself and my wife Linda live and work in Boston. We want to win. Well, how about the other side of the Atlantic, John? How about the people who buy those season tickets, buy your memorabilia, travel from other parts of the world? They can't keep writing off seasons. We want to win. You have a chance to win. Please, for the love of God, show some ambition. I'll never get excited till I see the player turning up at the training ground in Kirby, said David Massett. Again, I respect and appreciate that, mate, but I just get fed up of it because it's frustration at the end of every window. Even if we go back to our greatest window, right, and I think most of us will agree, I think it was 2018 when we signed Alisson Becker and Virgil van Dijk. That was a great window. Or a great period, sorry, because Van Dijk was the winter window and then it was the summer window. But that was a great period. But there was also frustration in that window, if you remember correctly. Because the last piece of that jigsaw was supposed to be the kid from Lyon, whose name has absolutely escaped me at this point, which didn't work out. We've seen the training pictures. We've seen him doing bits and pieces, but we never got the deal over the line. Nabil Fekir, thank you. But that was quickly forgotten about. But that deficiency, that lack of that extra attacking player, wasn't forgotten about by me and many others. So it was another nearly window. We're always 2 or 3 players away. Whereas we look at our opponents, we look at City, we look at Arsenal, and we see 2-3 players deep in every position. But we're always being sold a vision about the Liverpool way and, you know, doing things in the right order and blah, blah, blah. Just spend the fucking money when you need to spend it, or off you pop. Simply. Looks like Elise going to 6th place Chelsea. Meanwhile, we're stuck with an aging 32-year-old winner who leave on a free. And that says everything, said Mahmood. I'm trying to find some positivity to reply to that with, but you're bang on. You're bang on. Chelsea are out there yet again. Didn't get Elise last year, back in from this year. Out there bringing in Adebayo, looking to build out their squad, looking to get their new manager as strong a squad as he can to go and win stuff. And we're getting told, well, wouldn't it be great if Arne Slot's able to coach the younger players? I think you've summarised it there, Mahmoud. And you'll be called greedy, and you'll be laughed at, and you'll be ridiculed, and you'll be mocked, and you'll be called ungrateful, and all the other crap that we have to listen to from the apologists. But ultimately, you've every goddamn right to expect the owners to do their part of this. Because our managers can only do so much. The players can only do so much. But they need the teammates. They need the group. They need the stardust. We wanted a CDM for 2 years now. How hard is it to get one? Seemingly quite hard, Harry. And last year we were made to look like idiots. Dress that up however we want, but we were made to look like idiots. Chelsea not only beat us to the number 1 target last year, they then beat us to the reserve target. So they ended up getting a defensive midfielder and the younger player coming through, and we ended up getting a 31-year-old Endo, who, by the way, has been very good. This is not a rant against Endo. But that's the difference. Where's our Caicedo? Where's our Declan Rice? Where's our absolute bona fide guaranteed success that's going to be dropped in to make us competitive again? Even at the end of last season, it was the most predictable thing in the world that we would come up just short because of fatigue and a lack of options. And ironically, it was when we went back from using the younger players to the senior pros that we kind of fell apart. And yet I still have to sit here and listen to some people telling me that Mohamed Salah is still amazing, or that Bradley shouldn't be right back, when we see the younger players were grinding out the wins. It's all madness to me. Could it be that generational talent would always pick teams like Real Madrid? It's hard to compete with that kind of pull. Yes, potentially. But Manchester United got Ronaldo. And we turned him down because David Moyes and Rick Parry didn't want to spend 9.5 or 10 million quid on a teenager. So we've had opportunities in the past and not pulled the trigger. And again, I find it very hard to square this circle. Liverpool want to sign the best players. And we've seen other players like here. That tag on Lenny Yoro from Real Madrid. The tag of sign him regardless of the cost or if he fits into the team now because we know he's going to be a superstar. We paid £75 million for our superstar, for Virgil van Dijk. Worth every goddamn penny. Without a shadow of a doubt, brilliant signing, love the man, absolute success. But that's one side of this debate. The other side is we could have had him for 12 million quid a couple of years earlier and didn't. And that's the part that frustrates me. Because if we're being told we have to account for every penny, we have to be clever, we have to make our money work, how do you square off spending 75 million quid on somebody you could have got for 12? And you were told about it by somebody inside your own camp. Gary McAllister told Rodgers to go and sign Van Dijk from Celtic. He didn't, and then he went to Southampton and we ended up paying 75 million quid a few years later. It's not rocket science. But we just procrastinate, hold off, wait, and don't pull the trigger. Scampy Wee. And by the way, Ben, can we put a poll up? Just ask, because maybe I'm ranting and maybe I'm wrong. But can we put a poll up to ask, do you think Liverpool's transfer business in recent years has been good enough? Simple one. By Chechik, Bradley, Kwanzaa, talented, but we still need the here and now. So kids can come great over time. We can't pressure all the kids. That's a really good point, Harry. As you said, we all love an academy product coming through. Of course. But when your academy product's coming through and also has to be the saviour, that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure on the kid. It's a lot of pressure on the manager. And it's a big leap of faith for everyone to have to take. And usually they take time. But season after season, we're always a little bit away. And the owners don't seem to have learned their lesson. And what scared me the most was we had the best manager in the world and they didn't back him. Now it feels like we don't even have a manager who's going to advocate for us anymore, because at the moment he's a head coach and he doesn't have the voice to speak up. He doesn't have the voice to stand against the owners. Jurgen had all of that and we still didn't hear enough said about the owners. That's my fear, is that it's going to go even worse now, backwards. The wages in London and Madrid are astronomical, said Kevin. Yes, absolutely. They are. But look at Manchester United as an example. How many players do they have on silly money? Casemiro, Rashford, De Gea was on 300 or 400 grand a week. So, yes, London wages are astronomical, but at the same time, we still generate an awful lot of cash. Big mistake not signing Kudus from Ajax and now Guilherme from Palmeiras, both now at West Ham. Exactly. You made that point better than I could have, Justin. Mohamed Kudus, I don't know what they paid for him from Ajax, but if we want to sign him, it's going to cost us 85 million quid for 1 year's experience in the Premier League. I will add another one to your list, Van de Ven. Last summer, we spent a month or two hearing about Liverpool's interest in Van de Ven, and we didn't sign him. And we didn't sign anyone at centre-back. And yes, we brought through Kwanzaa, and that's brilliant as well. But the same deficiency a year later is still there, only for now we've lost Joel Matip. So now the need is even more. And that's just to get back to parity. We need to replace Matip just to get back to where we were, not to take another step forward. Craig, to be honest, I agree with you. I don't think FSG are good enough, but you have to give credit. Last year they spent 150 million with no Champions League. Still don't think they're good enough, but you have to credit that. Last year's net spend, I think, was 60 or 70. And I did give them credit for that transfer window. And it was a good window. But let's look at the window as a whole. So we had a target of 115 million for one player. We didn't sign that player. We didn't sign the 50 million player. We signed an 18 million quid player. So our solution was to drop down 96 million quid or 97 million quid for the solution. Then we bought Dominic Szoboszlai, which felt like a bit of a rush job in all honesty, because that was a deal that was done very quickly at the end of his clause. Then we had a very end of the window Ryan Gravenberch signing, which was grand. And Alexis McAllister was one of the greatest signings of last summer across the league, no doubt about it. Knowing about that release clause, triggering it, brilliant. So I agree. I do give credit where it's due, and last summer was a pretty good window. But my point is, we still went into the season short. We still went into the season relying on either Thiago not to be unfit or everything to go great with our centre-backs and nobody to pick up an injury. And neither of them worked out. On top of that, Stefan Bajcetic missed the whole campaign. He's going to have to get back up to speed. That's going to take time to get to match fitness. It feels like we're always playing catch-up when there are a couple of decent opportunities right in front of our eyes. I worry this manager is going to be a yes man, said David. So I'm not so much worried about the yes man part, because to an extent I do understand the structure. And the manager has to earn the right, in my opinion, to have these extra responsibilities or extra backing. So he has to prove that, one, he can do the coach and he can get the results out of the players and build his standing and stature at the club. And after that, then maybe his voice starts to resonate a bit more with the owner. So I'm not worried about that from the gaffer, because we've known all along that he wasn't really going to be the one in charge of the signings. It was going to be Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards. And to be honest, most of us have a lot of faith in their ability to operate. But there's a whole lot of nothing going on at the minute. And no closer to those 3 contracts being sorted out. And now we have to watch Van Dijk and Trent in the Euros, knowing that every time they do anything good, the likelihood of somebody coming in to try and prize them away is only going to increase. And the strength of their agents and them in negotiations for their next contract is only going to increase. And it gets more and more difficult for the club. There's a lot of stuff I'm concerned about. And I know we're playing catch up, but we also had a fairly long time. They knew about Klopp in November. Here we are now next summer. So we've had enough time to prepare. And we're a club that supposedly likes to do business early, so let's see what happens. Santino, and sorry, I'm playing catch up here on some super chats. Disagree with Harry. The kids become generational because they use the pressure that's put on them. Real Madrid wages are big because they don't pay for players. I mean, if we look at the generational part, how many have actually come through the academy to become generational? Trent? Too early to call on Kwanzaa. Too early to call on Elliott. Jones isn't going to be a roaring success, but still a win for the academy. So it's not like we're seeing Bradley. Yes, that'll be a win. So yes and no, but I still think the less pressure on those kids, the better. They need to learn from the senior pros as well. Getting close to mudding United again with Elise, said Fidget. And Fidget's a Chelsea fan, by the way, just in case you're wondering the optimism about Elise there. That baffles me, because we were told that Chelsea had to get Champions League football or the transfer business was screwed. All last year, we were told that if Chelsea don't get Champions League football, if Chelsea don't get this right, they're in financial peril. Yeah, here they are, already starting to look to sign players. I get not wanting to pay over the odds for players and being taken for fools, but sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and put the money down. WFM, said TOTT2KZ1. And thank you, my friend. Lovely to see you in. Yeah, we do. Craig, if FSG were to sell the club, do you think the club would be in a better or worse position? It's impossible to answer, Ben, because who's going to buy a football club like Liverpool in this day and age? It's not going to be, you know, a local businessman or woman who's done well in life and wants to buy the local club because they can't afford them anymore. You know, football clubs have gone from being worth hundreds of millions to now into the billions. So the idea of an individual being able to buy a football club, you're talking about a handful of prospective owners. What most likely will happen is you either get an investment capital firm or maybe some type of quasi-state-owned faction. So I don't know if FSG move on, if it'll be good or bad for the club, because it's kind of like how long is a piece of string. We could end up with worse owners. That's very possible. Absolutely. We could end up with owners a little bit more reckless. So yes, it is difficult, but you can't keep going with the better the devil you know aspect forever, because I want more than one Champions League title, and I want more than one Premier League. And the fact that Jurgen Klopp, despite everything he achieved, still came up a bit short. Now I know why, you know why. It's because of that crowd in Manchester a lot of the time, but it feels like we missed opportunities. And, you know, we haven't pushed on, in my opinion. Right, I feel like I've spoken a lot, so I'm going to get into the comments for a while. Mark Bell said, if Klopp was back properly, then we'd have had 2 more Premier League titles. I'm convinced of it. The poll that we put up said, do you think Liverpool's transfer business in the last few years has been good enough? 24% so far have said yes, 76% have said no. So it seems like most of us feel like there's a bit more can be done. Now, I think we'll also all agree that nobody wants the club put into financial peril. Nobody wants Liverpool to spend £500 million and then have concerns moving forward. It is quite nice not having to listen to any of the PSR stuff. So we have to acknowledge that as well. It is nice that we're not having to sell players. It is nice that we're not having problems with the Premier League with regards to how we're being run. But I'd rather a few headaches and a few Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues and figure out these solutions like Bowley has or other owners have than, again, always erring on the side of caution. Chelsea have to offload players by the end of the month because of PSR. That's the story, Eddie. But yet they're still going in for Elise. They signed Adebayo. So, and they're even talking about giving Gallagher a new deal now. He was for sale a month ago and now they're reconsidering. Levi Colwill, who has been spoken about as somebody who they may have to sell. Again, they're talking about, no, we're keeping him as well. So, I'll believe it when I see it, Eddie, is probably the angle I'm going to go with. And that's not aimed at you at all, bud. That's just aimed at the way this has been portrayed in the media. I'll believe all these rush sales when I see them. Where was the Lenny Yoro news? It came from David Ornstein on The Athletic. There's an article about it on The Athletic, and I'll go back through it in a while, mate. But basically, the gist of the piece is that PSG, Liverpool, Manchester United and Real Madrid are all very interested in signing Lenny Yoro. But basically, we all believe that, and it says this in the piece, that Real Madrid will end up getting him anyway. So we're all interested, but we're not going to make a move yet because Real Madrid are still hovering around, and the belief is that Real Madrid will sign him. So then why are we wasting our fucking time? You know? If you're not going to go balls out for the kid, if you're not going to go and get yourself the generational talent, then stop wasting your time even looking at him. It's like Mbappe. We heard about Mbappe so much, and we never put our money on the table. It's just waffle. Craig, it's because these other clubs are dodgy as F. That's true, but we have the ability to spend. That's what frustrates me. We're nowhere near the PSR calculations. We're nowhere near getting into financial trouble, and we're still not spending. That's what bugs me. So I hear you, and you're right. You are right, like, but same with Bellingham. Yeah, exactly. Kamasutra said Olise is the best choice. FSG waste money on scouting and doing nothing, said Coach Bill. Do you think Liverpool will ever get new owners? Yes, when FSG feel like there's no more growth left in the Premier League and in Liverpool. Because every article you read about potential sale, it's always caveated with, but they believe there's going to be 6.5% or 7% growth over the next 3 years in the Premier League and more media and image rights and other stuff. So there's still money to be milked out of this teat before they sell it up. Because and look, I don't hate FSG for this. FSG want to sell when Liverpool are at their peak, when they believe that we're just about to maybe dip, or when the market's at its very highest, they want to sell. Understandable. And I've never, ever, ever complained that the owners are going to make a shed load of money. No problem with that. I much prefer an owner that buys the club, it becomes more valuable, and they make their profit at the end when they piss off. That's fine. But you have to spend in the meantime. You can't just bank on the club growing and the Premier League getting stronger and the money coming in and not winning. Because winning is what sport's about. So, on the way, if you haven't, please do drop a like on the stream. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that as well. And again, thank you to everyone that's in. The floor is yours tonight, folks. You let me know what you want to discuss. If you want to get stuff off your chest, have at it. If you want to say I'm wrong or you think X and Y, let's discuss it. Right, so a little bit more news that I still have to go through because I'm playing catch up a little bit today. One sec. Ryan Gravenberch's father makes Jurgen Klopp claim amid uncertain Liverpool future is a headline. Basically, we're not sure if Ryan Gravenberch is being utilised in the right way, is where his father's going with this. I don't know what to say. I like Gravenberch and I'm happy he's at the club, and I believe he's one of the players who will definitely benefit under Arne Slot, in my opinion. Any news on Federico Chiesa, said Ian Cahill. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate your super chat, mate. Welcome in. No, nothing new other than he still doesn't want to sign a new deal with Juventus. Juventus are still trying to free up money, obviously, because they have signings they'd like to make. They're in the middle at the minute of pulling down Aston Villa's pants over Douglas Luiz. And after that, they'll probably have to do some selling themselves. And somebody's going to get a bargain. John Henry's in his mid-70s. He might sell before he gets too old. But why would he sell? Like, I think you mean because he'll want the money. But it's not like he's like us, that he's not already living a very high standard of life. And like, it's not like he needs to sell the club because he needs to free up the money because he wants to buy a new car. Or, you know, something like, he's already minted and doesn't need to concern himself with day-to-day money. So I don't think he really cares about the age he is, you know, because when all of us die, who cares at that point? You're dead. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to worry about you have to worry about your family and looking after your loved ones and making sure there's enough money there for all of that, of course. But he's never, you know, he's not in that boat. He doesn't have that fear. The transfer segment should be named Where's the Money, John? Yeah, and do you know what? I pulled myself up on this because I've been too nice lately. You know, we tried to reach out to the club, we tried to play the game, we tried to do the right thing, and they fucking blanked us again. So at this point, I'm just going to say it as I see it and continue to call it out, because we're not the brown nosers and the lick arses, and the club don't want that to do with Anfield Agenda. Fair enough. They go around to Liverpool supporters clubs and ask what they're doing with us, why they're talking with us, are they doing that, and with blah blah blah. Okay, you don't like us, fair enough, but I'm still going to do what I'm going to do, which is speak out when I see stuff that I think is wrong at the football club, because somebody has to. And I believe it's our responsibility to advocate for fans. And that's why we're here, to advocate for fans that have the same feelings we do. And if you just look at the poll, 76% of people feel like our transfer business hasn't been good enough. That's a lot of people. Who are the brown noses? No. You're not getting me into that. I'm not doing the tit for tat stuff. I'm not going to start calling out other channels or other people. That's not my job to do so. What I'm saying is, I'm going to stick to being me. And I'm going to stick to calling out the crap that I believe is wrong and saying it as I see it. So, I'm not here to disrespect others. You know, they go about their own business in their own way, and I respect it. It's their businesses, they do what they want. But I can't play the... I can't bite my tongue, is the gist of it. If I see something that annoys me, I need to say it. 2018 Red Sox, the greatest team in their history, and he traded the entire team within 5 years. They only want to win as long as they make billions. Look, I've always said I can't speak to the Red Sox because I don't know anything about baseball and I don't know anything about how it operates and how the Red Sox operate. And I've always tried to say I don't think the two are linked in any way, shape or form. Financially, they both operate as independent entities. But what I have said is if FSG don't want to keep their hometown team competitive, and yes, they've won, I think, 2 or 3 rings or 2 or 3 World Series in their tenure, but I've also seen a lot of unhappy Red Sox fans. So my point has been, if they can't do that in their home city, where they live, work, walk around, dine in, what hope have we got over the other side of the Atlantic? Because they don't have to listen to us in person. They don't go to games. He saunters over once or twice a season. At least the club ignoring you shows that they've heard. Oh, I know they've heard. And I'm going to say this again. They've reached out to supporters clubs asking what their business is with us. I have proof to back all this up, and I've showed it in my Discord group. We've sent them 2 very nice emails trying to find out what they believe we're doing that's annoying them or what they don't like about us in an adult, grown-up way, and they've ignored us again and again. Here's a story for you. We're doing a show in Cardiff, and when we do a show in a city, we like to reach out to the supporters club in that city and offer their members some tickets to come along to the show, because we like to do a little bit of outreach when we go to a city. So today, I messaged Ben and I said, hey Ben, could you get on to the Cardiff Liverpool Supporters Club there, mate, and just say to them that we're going to be in Cardiff doing a show and we'd love to welcome them along and offer them some tickets. And he said, I can't, Craig. They've blocked us. I've never fucking spoken to them. Not even sure I've ever interacted with them, and we're blocked. I don't know what to say, but I don't care anymore. You know, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to do what I think is best. It's probably the swearing and open criticism of players. So, let me just say this. Do you think that they don't swear? Do you think that John W. Henry, Jurgen Klopp and everybody else doesn't swear? So swearing is nonsense. The criticism of players is called being a fan. We're a fan channel. Our job is to speak about what we see and to discuss and debate performances, transfer business. That's what we're here for. You can't just say everything's great, because that isn't real. And if you're unwilling to even negotiate or speak with somebody because they dare say somebody had a bad game. Now, I want to make something really clear. When you say I criticise players, I do. Here, on our stream. That's where it ends. I don't go into their DMs. I don't go onto Twitter slating them. I don't go onto Instagram sending them horrible snidey messages. And I don't ask anybody else to go out into the world and be vile in any way. In fact, I deplore it. So I think I'm just being a fan. And if swearing is enough to turn people off, then they must live very sheltered lives. I love the streams. Think Chiesa is a must, in my opinion, said Frank Collins. I think he'd be a great, astute piece of business. You know, I love a versatile player. I always speak about Joe Gomez and how we're very fortunate that Gomez was able to fill in last year in a load of positions. I think Chiesa could give us that option as well. So let's say, for instance, we signed Chiesa and Mo wasn't at it this season. You know, Mo maybe was up and down a little bit. Well, at least you've got pressure on him. At least you've got somebody on his shoulder pushing him for the jersey. And he doesn't feel like no matter what happens, he's going to start next week. And I only mentioned Salah there because similar position, Chiesa, Salah. But the same applies to Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk knows nobody's taking his place. And that's, to some extent, understandable. But there's also nobody there pushing him to take his place. And that is unhealthy, in my opinion. Be yourself, Craig. That's why we subscribe. Don't change a thing. You'll never walk alone. Thank you. And I'm very grateful to have you guys, because I don't think people want puppets. I don't think people want to be told everything's great when it isn't. And for all the stuff you say about me criticising, that is true. I do. But I praise as well. But that never gets brought up. When I speak about Mohamed Salah being a great humanitarian, never gets mentioned. When I speak about people doing great things for the club and the city, never gets mentioned. It's funny that, isn't it? Pacho, Yoro, Kudus, Elise and Ederson, is that the dream? I don't know much about Pacho, to be honest, so I'm kind of taking a leap of faith in that one. Yoro, Kudus / Elise and Ederson. That's a window to hear that I think could be a very, very, very good window. What's this? So Paul Joyce has tweeted out to say this, and this is pathetic. Not from Paul Joyce, by the way. Sorry, I don't mean to sound that way. Paul Joyce is amazing. But this fucking stance is pathetic. Liverpool and Manchester United are waiting in the wings should Real Madrid's interest in defensive prodigy Lenny Yoro collapse. Liverpool and United are also pushing in the hope a deal stalls and they can pounce. What type of beta bullshit is that? So Liverpool are standing in the corner looking at the good looking girl just in case the jock isn't able to come in and steal the prom queen. Liverpool are standing over there with the braces on like little nerds in the corner going, maybe at 2 a.m. if Real Madrid haven't come in, then maybe? The fuck is that? What is that? Genuinely, what is that? What type of a fucking mentality is that? It's... United won't get him. Braithwaite want him. Apparently they won't pay the money for Braithwaite. Apparently they believe that Everton's valuation is too high or something like that. But so why don't Liverpool just say, here Lille, here's an offer of, I don't know, whatever Liverpool value Lenny Yoro at. I don't know what the valuation is, but let's throw a number out there. Liverpool value Lenny Yoro at 70 million euro. Put the offer on the table and see what happens. Maybe Lille don't want to negotiate with Real Madrid because maybe Real Madrid are going to pay 26 million quid. Or maybe Lille feel that Lenny Yoro is just going to run his contract down and leave for free anyway. But at least make the situation move rather than just standing around waiting. Be proactive. Put the fucking offer in and see if Real Madrid back up. You'll get an idea very quickly then as to where you stand. Craig, I love our club. I just think we need to be realistic. There are tiers. Real Madrid is in a tier of their own. Okay. Elise. Are Chelsea in a tier of their own? Because, again, another player we've been linked with and we're standing around. So, yes, Real Madrid are in a tier of their own. But we lost 2 players last year to Chelsea who were all over the shop. They're not in a tier of their own. Arsenal were still able to go out and sign Declan Rice. So, you know, I get what you're saying, but the proof of the pudding's in the eating. And we ain't doing much eating. How likely are Liverpool to bring in new players for the season? Almost certainly, Rob. Almost certainly, bro. And the window, I'm sure, will unfold and we'll make some signings. But I guess, if I asked you guys the question, do you think by the time the transfer window shuts, you will feel like we're stocked in every position? I would say the answer to that is probably going to be no. You'll still feel like we have some deficiencies. And while as fans, of course, we'll always want that little bit more. Right now, as in this very minute, we're already behind. We have to fill Matip's position. We have to fill Thiago's position. We might have to fill Adrian's position. And that's just to get back to where we were. That's not even to progress or to strengthen. That's to get us back to where we were. And that's my problem here. We're always catching up with ourselves. Didn't sign a centre-back. Brought in one on loan and signed Ben Davies. How did that work out? We got a miracle Alisson Becker header that got us back into the Champions League. Fast forward. We need a midfielder, Jurgen. We need a midfielder. Every Liverpool fan, we need a midfielder. Jurgen, all window. How can we improve on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain? How can we do this? End of the window. Klopp said, we need a midfielder. We end up with Arthur fucking Melo. That's not a solution. And again, for a club that's supposed to be clever with money, we pissed away that money. The loan fee, the wages, the money for Davies, all money thrown away. So you can't even make the argument that the money was well spent. And that's before we even ask about where the hell the gaffer is. How do you unveil a new manager on June the 1st and nobody's heard a word from him? I know he's on holiday, but how do you not have a video recorded to say a little word from your new manager on June the 1st? It's mad. We got Calker as well. Yeah. Like, again, think about this for a second before you think I'm asking for too much. We needed a centre-back. The world knew we needed a centre-back. And we brought in Ozan Kabak on loan from Schalke and signed Ben Davies. Then the next season, we needed a midfielder and we end up with Arthur Melo, who, I don't know, breaks his hip pulling into the car park in Kirby or whatever and is unavailable. And even if he was available, this sums up the fucking mentality for me. When we signed Arthur Melo, when we signed him, Juventus apparently insisted on an option to buy being in that deal. An option that we never had any intention of triggering, no matter how well the move went. We weren't going to sign him. Then why the fuck did we sign him? Why did we bring him into the football club if before he even kicked the ball you knew you didn't want him? You knew he wasn't going to be good enough longer term. What type of backwards arse mentality is that? It's mad. Do you know, and I'm not wrong. Look back at the reports at the time. There was a piece, I believe, on The Athletic that said Juventus insisted on that option to buy being in the deal. Insisted on it. And Liverpool said, fair enough. But they've no intention to trigger it. So you've already admitted the player signing isn't going to be good enough. Then why are you bringing him in? We could have got Douglas Luiz for 20 million last season, said Regista. Yeah. It's mad. They chose Chelsea. Rice only wanted Arsenal. We don't know if Elise wants to come here. I'm personally not a fan of Elise. I get the frustration. I respect you a lot, mate. You're a really good contributor of our channel. But I don't think you do get the frustration. Because everything that you've said in your comment just basically said that we were unattractive to these people. Or they wanted them. Then why bother? Why show yourselves up going after Caicedo if you didn't believe you could sign him? Or if he only wanted Chelsea? Why embarrass yourself going into the debate? Why then go through the whole summer saying you don't have a valuation for the other kid that Chelsea brought in, the other defensive midfielder, who's, again, I'm sorry, I'm ranting so much I'm drawing a blank. We didn't even go after him. We're not going to spend 45 million. We're not going to spend 45 million. We're not going to spend the end of the window 50 million offer in, but we'd already lost out because he'd agreed to go to Chelsea. Yeah, Romeo Lavia, thank you. All summer we said we weren't going to pay this money, and then at the last minute we offered the money, but he'd already made his mind up. We were our own worst enemies in that scenario, in my opinion. What's this? Magpies United said Al Nassr general director already met with Van Dijk's team. I've no idea about that, mate. Cop N said, don't agree with you, Craig. We don't need a big transfer window. We do need at least 3 incomings. Yet, according to Ben Jacobs, we're only in the market for a forward and a central defender. So, I think you've contradicted yourself there a little bit, mate. I think. You said we don't need a big window and then followed up with we need 3 signings. So, is that not a big window? We need 3 quality signings to go straight into the first team. So we need a quality centre-back, a quality defensive midfielder, and definitely a forward, because most likely Salah's leaving in a year. So, how is that not a big window? 3 first-team players for me is a big window. So, I respectfully disagree, and I feel we do need a big window. We're not giving Slot the best chance of success. FSG think he's going to replicate what he did at Feyenoord with a small budget. That's just unfair. Look, I've no problem with bringing in a manager who they think can improve players. That's grand. I want that type of manager. I love that about Jurgen as well. But there has to be a balance between a manager who can overachieve, get the most out of his team, but also have quality options. It can't just be make these lads superstars. It's like, here's some superstars, and while they're there, develop these guys. And then when the superstars get to the point of their contract where we may need to sell them, then you have the younger players who are already bedded in and can take their place. That's the ideal scenario. So, who's the centre-back coming through that's going to come in and replace Matip? There isn't one. Who's the defensive midfielder coming through that's going to come in and be as good as Declan Rice? Tyler Morton, very good player, but he's not going to be world class like Declan Rice or Rodri. So, who's the forward that's coming through that's going to go in and replace Mohamed Salah? It's not going to be Ben Doak, yeah, a little bit away. Cade Gordon's had a really unlucky time with injuries. Trent Alexander-Arnold's a few years away minimum. So what do we do in the meantime? Tread water? Markovic, Grabara, Asidi. Yeah, Markovic, who, by the way, we had to pay Chelsea for the pleasure of signing because they had first dibs on him. So we had to pay Chelsea a fee and then we went and signed him. And we couldn't give him away. How does journalists know how many players we need? So here's the thing. I said this yesterday. Journalists this summer seem to be great at telling us who we're not interested in. And seem to be great at telling us everything negative. But none of them are willing to put their head on the chopping block and tell us who we want to sign. Like, I can come out there and tell you we're interested in Lenny Yoro and that Real Madrid are likely to sign him. And I'm an idiot. But where are the actual journalistic work? Where's it being done? Who are we in for? Tell one journalist, just one fucking journalist, tell us who we're going to sign. Because I've not seen it. I've seen a lot of who we're not going to sign or who we looked at but aren't sure of. So if you've all that information, who are we signing? It's pretty straightforward. If you're getting all these briefings and you know all this stuff, then who are we signing? Who's the number one target? Look at United. United fans know they're looking at Branthwaite. United fans know they're going to try sign X or Y. We're just sitting around going, no idea. No idea. Different journalists are even argued about different areas of the pitch we want to strengthen. What's a priority and what isn't a priority? It's all made up news, Craig. Edwards and the team keeping their cards close. I hope. Look, I can't say this clearly enough. I think Michael Edwards is a genius. I have extreme faith in Michael Edwards. And in fact, I would argue, if Edwards hadn't have left Liverpool, we probably have a better grasp on this situation, because I don't believe Virg, Salah and Trent would be in this position if Edwards had stayed at the club. And every fibre of my body believes Michael Edwards wants to sell Mohamed Salah tomorrow, because he knows what we all know deep down, that Salah's best days are behind him. The data will tell him that. His scouts will tell him that. The coaches will tell him that. The fans will tell him that. It's clear. But some people don't want to let go because of an emotional attachment. And that's understandable too. Of course you love players who've delivered for us. But somebody has to make the tough choices. Somebody has to be the adult in the room. And that's why I love Edwards being back at the club. So I'm very positive about those appointments. I love the idea of Richard Hughes. I like the setup that FSG have put in place. I genuinely do. But it needs to be backed up with the signings. Nimoy Pramanik, welcome to Anfield Agenda Ultras, my friends, and thank you for your support of the channel. Isn't this the way Edwards works? In what sense? Oh, he's very quiet, if that's what you mean. Yes, he's very stealth in how he operates. And as much as I've moaned, we could wake up tomorrow and hear that Liverpool have signed somebody. And we all love that. Fabinho, brilliant. Love when it happens. But it's a leap of faith again. And how long before we're starting to question how long's left in the window? Or when are we going to make the move? I don't know. Can't people see how Salah is not performing as well as before? No, a lot of people can't. And this is a difficult conversation because Salah is a legend. Salah was an unmitigated success beyond any of my wildest expectations. And it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to watch that man play for Liverpool Football Club and do what he's done. Amazing. Truly amazing. But his best days are behind him, and that shouldn't even be a debate. It shouldn't be, because it's so clear. And some people just won't let go. And they're the very same people who will halfway through next season be kicking up and moaning that we aren't competitive or that we've fallen away a bit. You can't have it all. Sometimes tough calls need to be made. I'm excited to see Yaros at the Euros this month. Yes, definitely worth keeping an eye on. Yeah, really good show. Looking forward to seeing Yaros as well, seeing how much action he gets for Hungary. Looking forward to seeing Dom at the Euros as well. And there's a few other players. Like I'm looking forward to watching FER, see how good he is. I'm looking forward to a couple of other players that we've been loosely linked to as well. But this just adds to my frustration because we already know we're up against it. So the Euros start tomorrow. The window opens tomorrow. After the Euros, we're over in America. So we've got the pre-season, we've got the games, and unless you've got players signed up beforehand, you're already playing catch-up, and you're a month or two into the season, and you haven't even had a chance to bed in some of the signings yet. So every day really does count at the minute. And that's why I keep banging on about this madness about Trent, Salah and Virg. I don't get it. How can you let those three players be going into the last year of their contract and not a peep about a new contract extension for any of them? In fact, we seen an article the other day to say that Liverpool have put off conversations with Van Dijk until the end of this year. That doesn't make sense in my head. Unless Virg has said, I'm committed, I love the club, this will be an easy one, you get the other two boys done and dusted first. Maybe. I reckon we signed Frimpong and play him right winger, said Wormy Warrior. Look, Frimpong should be certainly an attractive proposition. You know, 40 million euro release clause. And I'm glad you said right winger, because if you had said right back, I'd have stood up for my boy Conor Bradley, because I think he is the guy at right back. Even if he's to go head to head with Trent, I still think he's in a good show. But Frimpong in a wide position could be interesting, yes. Now, I don't know at all if we're going to follow through, but we know what the parameters are. 40 million euro. That's the buyout clause. So it's not that much money, is it? For a player as good as he is, if we're interested. Verd's contract should have been announced when he got the armband, said Tom. I agree. I find it very... And I'm going to come out and say this. I find it massively disrespectful to Trent that he's in this position. Hugely. Even if it's from the point of view of maybe the club believe his head's been turned and maybe he wants to go to Madrid. I hope that isn't the case, and I doubt it. I do think Trent will want to stay. But I find it hugely disrespectful that Trent's in this position. Because we were told the new year was going to be when these contracts were going to be sorted out. Then they hid behind the Klopp excuse. So we couldn't possibly extend contracts because Jurgen told us in November he was leaving. So that means that we can't do anything else now other than start to look for a manager and a sporting director. Nobody could possibly sit down with a generational talent who grew up around Anfield and is our vice captain. Nobody could possibly sit down with his agent and negotiate an extension. Nimoy said, I'd be genuinely shocked if Trent wants to leave. So would I, bro. So would I. I think Trent... I hope Trent's a one-club man. Yeah, I hope he is. But I can't tell you I'm not nervous seeing him away with England, matey mates with Bellingham, with 1 year to go, when Madrid need fullbacks. That makes me nervous. How likely is Trent to Madrid? I haven't got a clue. I wouldn't even want to guess because I don't know. But I know it's a lot more likely than if he had 3 years left on his deal. You'll Never Walk Alone said, forget Salah, our focus needs to be on Trent. Salah is a legend, but he'll leave next season for free, and we need to build around Trent, Szoboszlai and Gakpo. Does that not annoy you, though? What you've said there, does that last part not annoy you? Because it does me. And I don't mean you're annoying me, bro. Sorry. I mean, the idea that we're going to let Salah leave for free, does that not massively annoy you? Because it drives me doolally. Can't spend money because we can't compete with Real Madrid, Chelsea, City, and yet we don't cash in on a £100 million player and we let him go for free. That doesn't make sense in my head. I don't get it. Again, I'll talk you through a stat that was put out there yesterday. The last 12 senior players that have left Liverpool have 8 of them have gone for free. Only 4 of them have commanded a fee. That's not great. Firmino, free. Salah, potentially free. Mane, 30 million quid. Matip, free. Thiago, free. Keita, free. How is that clever? If Trent leaves for Madrid, will you despise him for the rest of his career? It depends how he leaves. If he threw his toys out with a pram to force a move, I'd probably feel a little bit more bitter about it. If it was done quickly, smoothly, with time on Liverpool's side to go in and try to replace, I think I could maybe understand the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Because whatever I say, I can see the attraction of Madrid. Of course I can. It's a guaranteed success. And again, like I said yesterday, what kind of increases my nervousness around Trent is he's won everything at Liverpool. Like, he can look at his kids and grandkids and say, I won the European Cup with Liverpool. I won the Premier League with Liverpool. I won 2 League Cups or more, FA Cup. I won the Super Cup, the Club World Cup. So he's already done that and achieved that with his boyhood club. Whereas if you contrast that with Gerrard and the Chelsea, he hadn't won the league with Liverpool. There was still that big elephant in the room for Liverpool, that big monkey on our back that we had to try and correct. So Trent wouldn't have as many regrets, I don't think, because he's already achieved a lot with Liverpool. Danny, how are you, my friend? He said, for me, it's not about backing Slot, more about Edwards backing himself. I just hope he's had enough time to put his plan together for this window. I like what you said, Danny. And I've every faith in Edwards that he can do the best with what he's available to do. I'm delighted Edwards is back at the club. Really happy about that. Gory said, Conor Bradley's a better right back than Trent and I don't care what anyone says. I agree. But Trent's a better footballer at the moment. But I do agree with you. If I had to pick a right back tomorrow for the right back position and not as a kind of inverted midfielder or a glorified winger, then absolutely every day of the week I'm taking Conor Bradley over Trent. But for the role he was being utilised in, Trent was the best option. For the player to drift inwards and dictate games, Trent was the better option in that regard. But as a right back, yeah, I agree. Craig, in your opinion, how long and successful will Slot be? I hope the answer to both is a long time and very. Because I'm genuinely excited about Arne Slot. For all the uncertainty I feel about the transfer market, I'm really excited to see Arne Slot come in, hear from him, see the little differences in the squad, look at the style of play, learn a lot more. And because, we've gotten so used to Jurgen over 9 years that it was like a comfortable pair of slippers, and it was a good thing. Like, Jurgen was amazing, but actually, to twist that a little bit, can I say that I feel that what happened with Jurgen was the best possible outcome. I'm so glad the club didn't get to a point where they had to question whether they wanted to keep him on or not. I feel like it was the right time. Maybe the timing of the announcement you could argue about, but I feel like it was the best outcome because we got to celebrate Jurgen, we got to say goodbye to Jurgen, we got to thank Jurgen, and we didn't have to see him be fired, which I never ever wanted to happen because I love him too much. So this way, I think it's a good ending for everybody concerned, and they'll only ever look back on Jurgen with fondness. Yeah, it felt organic. That's a good way to put it. It did. Jurgen made the tough call, and that speaks to the man. That is another reason to love Jurgen Klopp, because he looked inwardly, saw a deficiency in himself that he couldn't give what he wanted to give and what was needed for the club. And that must have been a very difficult thing to come to terms with. That tiredness, that fatigue. So yeah, it just adds to the admiration I have for Jurgen. Craig, about the Salah topic, Real Madrid sold Cristiano the moment he started to slow down. He should take the money while he still can. Absolutely. And all those top managers are ruthless. Sir Alex Ferguson did it as well. Now, he will tell you we got one massive one wrong. But all in all, Ferguson timed these things quite well at moving a player around when he's seen some signs of regression. But we like to drag it out and look to past achievements and not to the here and now or what the future's going to hold. Nunes said, was happy he was leaving at the end of the season. Always love him. I felt like it was the right time. Genuinely, I felt like it was the right time, but I'm so glad it was Jurgen's decision. So this coming out from the Times, Manchester United have agreed terms with Jared Branthwaite and Everton are demanding £70 million. So they've already got an agreement with the player United for Branthwaite, and now they're just trying to figure out the deal with Everton. So that's one more centre-back gone. Look, we couldn't sign him because he was at Everton and Everton won't deal with us in that regard. But I would have taken him in a heartbeat because I think he's a really good talent. And again, other clubs are acting. And this is United who were all over the shop, remember. Didn't even know if they were keeping their manager on until the other day. Don't have a director of football in place because they can't agree a compensation package for Ashworth with Newcastle. Meanwhile, we're sitting here talking about Taylor Swift being a fucking Anfield tonight. Satish said, thank you for telling it like it is. People are naive. I've always promised one thing on this channel from day one, and that is my honest opinion. I'm not saying my opinion's right all the time, but I'm not going to bite my tongue because I'm worried about the consequences of what I say. If I see something, I'm going to say it. Because my duty of care is to you. Our audience, our community. If the club don't like it, I mean, I'd love to be on great terms with the club, but ultimately, if the rules are that I have to be a brown noser, then fuck it. I'm going to do what I need to do, which is look after what I think are the best interests from the fans' perspective and our community's perspective. And if that costs me opportunities, I kind of come to terms with that a long time ago. Do I think Darwin was a good money spent? Okay, I'm going to answer it, but I'm going to answer it with a twist. Michael Edwards wouldn't have signed Darwin Núñez. And I'm going to tell you why. We signed Darwin Núñez off the back of his one really good season at Benfica. A season that, ironically, we seen him up and close and played against them, scored against us. But if you look back, that's the outlier. There was a really good piece in The Athletic where they went through Darwin's career at Almeria, at Benfica, and up until he joined us. And every other year, he's underperformed his XG by a significant amount. The only year he overperformed his XG was the year that we went in and signed him. Now, the reason I say we wouldn't have signed him if Michael Edwards was at the club was because the data wouldn't have told Michael Edwards that this is consistency. It felt more like an old-fashioned eye test signing rather than a culmination of information over a prolonged period. So, I don't think we signed him. Do I think he was value for money? I think that's still to be determined. And I believe in Darwin. I don't like this whole removing the Liverpool photo stuff, but I believe in his quality. And I believe he needs to be managed in a certain way, and I hope that Slot can do that. So yes, I think whether he's worth the money or not is still to be determined. Craig, Darwin will come good, trust me, said David Massett. So I said I think he scores 30 plus goals next season in all competitions. I said that I think yesterday on the stream, and I backed that up. Look at him with Uruguay. Like when he feels comforted, loved, supported, and understands what he's supposed to do and what his role is, he bags. How do I pronounce his name? Sidistico said, Craig and Mark, there's an article in Marca that says Al Nassr want to make Van Dijk the highest paid defender in the world. Might be worth checking it out. Somebody mentioned it earlier on, actually, to be fair, in the chat, said that Van Dijk's team had already met with Al Nassr or something. So, let's play the hypothetical game for a minute and say he does go to Al Nassr. What do you do then? How do you replace your captain? Honest question, by the way. How do you replace your captain? Because let's say we even got a big transfer fee. Let's say he went to Al Nassr this summer and we got 70 million quid. Who we signing? Because we still need a centre-back now before we need to potentially replace the captain. And we're still not really pulling up any threes where United are looking at Branthwaite and Real Madrid are looking at Yoro and all these other targets are there. And we're still talking about Inacio, who we could have signed last summer for 20 million quid less. Who's the most likely to come in as a player? Said your daily Sobos lover. Most likely. I feel like Bakayoko, but I don't know is the real answer. I don't know. I have no idea. I know we need 3 positions, but yeah, my honest answer is I can't sit here and tell you who I think the first person through the door is because I don't know. Would you sell VVD if it meant you got Inacio and Silva in return? No. Because whatever happens with Virgil, and I can understand the age argument and the contract argument, but who leads the defence if Virgil leaves? Because even if best case scenario you went out there and signed a really good centre-back who's experienced and we all agree is a great player, they still have to come in and get to terms with the group and the team and stamp their authority down. So I would have liked an adjustment period where maybe Virgil goes away in 2 or 3 years when he's ready and we have a Canade or somebody coming through that is that absolute heir apparent to Virgil's throne as the defensive stalwart. I don't think we have that at the minute. So from the financial side of it, yes, I get where you're coming from, and yes, it would be good, but it would still make me feel like we're likely to have a bit of a mad season with some growing pains. Maybe I should be looking longer term, and maybe I should be thinking, yes, and so what if we have an iffy first half of the season? Because longer term, when they bed in, it'll work. So maybe there's, like, I'm not saying my answer is right here, but my initial instinct would be like, that's another big loss from the leadership perspective. And personally, I think VVD has minimum, I'd be looking to give him another 2 years minimum. So that would bring him truthfully, what, 36? I'd have no issues with that. If I woke up tomorrow and seen that Liverpool gave Verge another 2 years on top of the year we have left, wouldn't bat an eyelid. Because I feel he'll still be playing at the top level at that time anyway if he wants to, because look at him. You know, he's in great nick. Doesn't rely on pace too much. Understands his reading of the game. So from that perspective, I'd feel comfortable enough about it. Right. I want to talk about Lenny Yoro for a few minutes, if I may. So there's this kid, teenager, coming through at Lille. And he's been spoken about by every football club and every football club's scouts for years. Kind of think of him as a defensive Mbappe. And we've known, and everybody else has known, his contract situation. What I can come to terms with is the admittance of defeat to Real Madrid. And how this generational talent is once again coming to the market. We're being linked with them, but not one of us believes we're going to sign them. My whole point about that is, why are we wasting time? You either back yourself to get a deal done and try and do it, or you don't waste anyone's time looking at the kid. I can tell you pretty much how Real Madrid will play this out. You know how Real Madrid are going to play this out. They're going to say to the kid, hang on, be patient, let us do our thing, you will be a Real Madrid player. Whether that's us going on the last day of the window and you coming to us, or whether that's you coming to us on a free. Be patient. Now, to back this up, let me go back to the Athletic article and this piece that said, this is the analysis from the Real Madrid correspondent Mario Cartagena. This will tie it all together. Madrid, through their chief scout and his staff, have been following Lenny Yoro for a long time. Their scouting report were completed with the label put on it, FER, FICHAR. In brackets it means to sign, because he's considered a generational talent. The label means the scouting department advise that the player should be signed regardless of his price and regardless of any concerns about how he would immediately fit into the squad, because in the longer term they know he's going to be a superstar. Since then, Real Madrid's general manager Jose Angel Sanchez has been leading talks, and there have been several meetings with his entourage who gave very positive indications about his intentions to play for the Spanish club. So we've already heard Madrid have been playing their cards close to their chest. They've already spoke to his entourage. The player wants to go there, but further progress is subject to Madrid meeting Lille's financial demands. The French club started asking for more than €100 million. Madrid, following the same logic that defines their interest in Alphonso Davies, see the player's value being much lower because Yoro's contract ends in 2025. That, for me, tells you everything. That they will do what it takes to get the player. Play the long game, sweeten him up, know that he might come in and mightn't play for a while. Doesn't matter what the price tag is. It is, at all costs, sign this player. Because this player will end up delivering you European Cups, will end up delivering you La Liga titles, and will end up being the stalwart of the heart of your defence for a decade or more. That is how you build a dynasty, by going and getting the players. Look how long it took them to get Kylian Mbappe. That on-off, will they, won't they signature that went on for years and years. But the difference between them and us, and maybe many other clubs, is they got Mbappe in the end for free. Think about that. They got Kylian Mbappe for free. Now, they signed him on with $100 million signing on bonus that's going to be paid over the 5 years, and I'm sure he's going to make a nice wage. But they didn't have to give PSG a goddamn penny to sign one of the greatest players of our generation. Now, we're looking at a centre-back who most public agree is going to be one of the best centre-backs of the next 15 years. And Madrid already are so confident that they're going to get this kid for much less than the selling club wants, that they're willing to play coy and tell him to hang on and be patient. He will be a Madrista. He will wear the white shirt. And in the meantime, they're still out there bringing in Endrick. They're still saying that the likes of Rodrigo is going nowhere. That is succession planning. That is how you win everything. And for all the faults there are with Florentino Perez, and there are many, what you can say is that when Real Madrid need to replace somebody, they are strategic, they are ruthless, and they get it done. Case in point, Casemiro. They flogged him to United for £70 million. They then went out and brought in Arlian Tchouameni for about the same fee. Perfect replacement. And they already had Camavinga, who they also got on a very good deal because he was running his contract down. They are ruthlessly efficient. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned there. So how much do FSG want to win? That's the argument, because I never ever believe that they really, really want success above all else. I believe they want profit and valuation. and don't give a damn about you, me, season ticket holders, or anybody else, as long as the pound notes keep racking up. And that is why I am so outspoken against FSG. It's because they speak out of both sides of their mouth. They want us to believe the club are geniuses, bringing in corporate deals, adding to the stadium, and wanting an attaboy for it. They didn't pay for the new stand. They didn't pay for the Annie Road extension. You did. The club did. They loaned the money, but your season tickets, your jerseys, your merchandise, your Sky subscriptions, you're going to pay for it. And they're going to see the upside of it when they leave. So you get the pleasure of paying for it, they get the pat on the back, and they get the money when they disappear for the extra value they've added. And in the meantime, we have to sit here and think, but we can't afford players. Why? It's all so damn frustrating and so predictable. And yet still they have some people brainwashed that they want to win. Or we've got people at the other end of the spectrum who are okay with being 4th or 5th. Remember when we all fell in love with the football club? Speak to your fathers, your grandfathers, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, whoever. One thing that you're going to hear over and over again is dynasty, success, trophies, winning. Liverpool Football Club exists to win trophies. Until now, when apparently it's okay not to. So the thing we grew up idolising, worshipping, looking at the great success stories in history of the past, seeing all these great Liverpool captains lift those league titles above their head, and those back-to-back-to-back, those European Cups that came very quickly. That was what we were told Liverpool was about. That's why Liverpool existed. Liverpool and Liverpool Reserves were the two best teams in Liverpool, and all these other beautifully inspiring things that we grew up, that made us fall in love with the club. Do you feel like now that that's the intention? That success at any measure is the outcome? Because I don't. I don't at all. And it hurts me to say that. And I take no pleasure in saying that. But I also believe I'm right. So we either exist to win trophies or we don't. That's my point. If you want us to be also Rans, then be open about it. But I want us to win. That's my point. Don't know what else to say. I'm going to go back into the chat. Cruz leaves, wages go down. Next year it'll be Modric. I feel like you're just making my point for me, mate. I know we see this transfer window differently, Acentino, and I respect you, but I feel like you're just making my point for me. They're already succession planning for when these guys go. And doing it really well. So, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you didn't fall in love with Liverpool because of the stories of the past. Because of Phil Thompson lifting the European Cup. Because of Emlyn Hughes. Because of Alan Hansen. Of course you did. Turn on LFC TV for 5 minutes and you'll be met with ads seeing Liverpool lifting league titles. Seeing our heroes of Rome and Wembley and Istanbul and Paris lifting the European Cup above their head. Because that's how the football club sold around the world. That's the vision. Don't feel that way these days. Can I please cover and recap the Yoro news? Absolutely. No problem whatsoever, mate. Happy to do it for you. 1 second. Right, so Fabrizio Romano said Liverpool like Lenny Yoro alongside Real Madrid and PSG. Then David Ornstein put out a tweet that was accompanied by an article on The Athletic, which I would encourage you to read if you get a chance. He said Liverpool and Manchester United actively pursuing deal to sign Lenny Yoro from Lille. Sounds good so far, right? Exciting stuff. But Liverpool and Manchester United see Real Madrid as the favourites, but are pushing hard for the 18-year-old centre-back. Pushing so hard, in fact, that Liverpool apparently haven't put a fucking bid in, but okay. Viewed as a unique market opportunity separate to other targets. Then you go in and read the article. And this is where it starts to become clear that we're already giving up. Liverpool and Manchester United are actively pursuing a deal to sign yet Lenny Yoro. Yoro has emerged as one of the most coveted players in Europe after a fine season. Piece goes on to say, however, the feeling is that Liverpool and Manchester United will be disappointed and the player will end up at Real Madrid. It goes on to say that hasn't discouraged sides, including Liverpool and United, from pushing hard to entice Yoro, especially given the rarity of such a fine talent being available for transfer. They, alongside PSG, are known to have made more concrete advances so far and would be prepared to offer competitive or favourable conditions. Yet, there remains an anticipation that Real Madrid will step forward and prevail. So, why are we wasting our time? You either go balls out and try and get the player, or you move on. Not waste another window looking at other teams, waiting to see what Real Madrid decide to do. Bruno de Cours said, a lot of talking but no action. Yes. Ryan said, the greatest club in the world. Lance said, I fell in love with Liverpool because of Mo Salah. That's a very understandable reason, mate. If ever there was a player of modern times that would make you fall in love with a football club and has given us some brilliant times, Mohamed Salah is absolutely as good as... It's my age that probably links me to the likes of Phil Thompson, but you're absolutely spot on. Mohamed Salah is as good a reason as any to fall in love with Liverpool. But you know what Salah also did? He lifted a European Cup and a Premier League title, which helps, doesn't it? You know, him scoring all those goals is great and all, but also seeing old big ears is nice as well. Have you heard how Alan Hansen is? I honestly haven't got an update other than today's his 69th birthday. So obviously, all of our regards and love and best wishes are with Alan Hansen and his family, and we hope for positive news. But I've always tried to just keep quiet throughout this and respect that the club will give information when it needs to be. You know, when someone's sick like that, it's family time. Leave them be. But happy birthday, and anyway, it is his birthday today. Stevie got me into Liverpool, said Welsh Dragon. For me, it would probably be John Barnes, Ronnie Whelan as well, because the Irish connection a bit. John Aldridge, Ian Rush. You know, I don't remember a whole that much of Rush, weirdly, but I knew of him. I knew of his greatness when I was growing up. But yeah, I think the first one I really sat up and took notice of was Barnes, probably. And then Brucey Grobler as well. Although I still don't think Grobler's the greatest keeper, but I knew of him and I knew of his character. Our current squad might carry us to a top 4 spot this coming season, but without proper signings, it won't get better than that in the coming years. Exactly. We're playing catch-up to ourselves to get back to parity with where we were, and everybody else is pushing ahead. Kenny Dalglish got me, said LFC Shankly. I mean, no better boy, mate. No better boy to make you fall in love with a football club than King Kenny. Yeah, I mean, I wish I was a little bit older when I got to see Kenny playing. Because, yeah, I mean, I can totally understand that. That's, yep, what a man. Fowler was the boy, said Leon Sampson. Alonso and Klein, said Harry. I'm a Liverpool fan because it doesn't make sense to support anybody else. That's a really good point as well, and I've often spoke about the connection to Ireland and the emigration and Anfield being named after a place in Wexford and all these other little connections that I got to cement my bond with Liverpool as years went by, and I found out more about the club and its history and stuff like that. Finley Ears Guitar, thank you for your membership for 6 months, mate. Said, howdy Craig, can't wait for the Euros tomorrow. Come on the Tartan Army, we're going all the way. Much love as usual, you never walk alone. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. Yeah, sorry about that crack-a-lackin' thing yesterday. I still can't believe I said that out loud. But Yeah, tomorrow we will be live for the Euro. So tomorrow, the news stream will be at 5 o'clock tomorrow because we're going to be doing the Euro. So news stream at 5 o'clock and then watch along for the Euros at 7:30 for the Germany-Scotland game. Now, I also want to just remind you guys about the tickets for the shows, as I've said. Liverpool, August 4th, Hot Water Comedy Club. Cardiff, August the 2nd at the Richard Burton Theatre. Both priced at just £15. You can get your tickets with a link at the top of the chat. They're all ages events, meaning everybody is able to come along. And any questions or anything, feel free to let me know in the chat. What have we got? I think I think we're down to, what was it? 14 tickets left for Liverpool, something like that. So yeah, Liverpool won. We're going to hear those glorious words, sold out soon. But thank you to everyone that's bought tickets so far. John Arnorisa is the one of the reasons why I started supporting Liverpool in 2001. I never really rated John Arnorisa that much, Bruno. For every screamer he scored, I remember 10 or 12 that went flying over the crossbar into the cop. Or yeah, I'm not saying he was a bad player, but I never liked him as much as most other people. Pierce saying transfer business will be done. Of course it will. I've no doubt we'll sign players. But again, what transfer business? It's alright saying it'll be done, but who? Who are we after? That'd be nice from any of the journals. I became a Liverpool fan after watching Istanbul Miracle live. I said to my mate, just to bother him, it will tie in with it on pens. What a game that was. I live in South America. Yeah, I mean, that and the Barcelona game would probably make you fall in love with the club, alright? What did I do on the night of Istanbul? Celebrated in Istanbul. Lucky enough, I don't want them. Lucky enough to be there. So yeah. Also though, on the other side of things, I got to experience the pain of Athens 2 years later. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, I guess. Robbie's in his garden listening to Taylor Swift. Just shake it off, Robbie. Shake it off. Congrats, Craig and the AA team on an almost sold out show. Thank you. Thank you so much, mate. You've no idea how surprised I am. Because remember, I jeez. I came into content over the last 6 or 7 years, always being told how much I'm hated in Liverpool. And I always thought, oh, I'd love to do a show there. I love the city, but I'm afraid it'll fall on its arse. So, for our last ever show, we said, let's try Liverpool. And to see it doing so well, I'm extremely humbled. I'm extremely proud. And I'm going to work my hardest to make sure it's a good night for everyone. Transfer window should have opened earlier, said Dave, instead of the opening day of the Euros. It is a weird one, Dave, isn't it? That they kind of coincide like that. But at least we know that it is open. You know, tomorrow transfer window opens for sure. Is there a possibility of Edwards being too tight with the funds he's given? Oh God, I don't know. Like, he will want value, and that's okay. Like, I don't mind the club not wanting to just overpay for everybody. Like, I don't want us doing a United and signing Anthony for €100 million. Like, that's just silly. But I think that's what has a lot of us nervous, is there's so much uncertainty around this window. New coach, uncertainty. New sporting director, uncertainty. Optimism, but uncertainty. So when you have a lot of things up in the air, you've got your three of your best players, Salah, Verge, Trent, coming to the last year of their contracts. It'd be nice to have some positive news, wouldn't it? Be nice to just get reminded, yeah, we're working away. We're working away. Here you go. That's kind of what I'm scared about at the minute, is that there's a lot of uncertainty and not a lot of good vibes at the minute. Craig, you're not hating Liverpool. Where have you got that from? From the Twitter posts that have said things like, if you show up in Liverpool, I'm going to hang you from Lime Street. come over to the wall at the garage at the match and we'll show you how much you're hated in Liverpool. Mate, there's multiple messages. The phone call that I got threatening me before the Real Madrid game was from a Scouser who doxed my number. So I've always hoped that it wasn't that much disliked, but more often than not, it was abuse that I was getting on social media. So I just assumed, So yeah, that's why I thought. But I tell you what, I didn't care, because I was still only going to speak positively about the city. I was still only going to speak positively about the people, because I love Liverpool and its people and their sense of humour and their camaraderie and their anti-establishment sentimentality and standing up for themselves. It's an extremely proud city, and I'll never let anyone shit on it or speak bad about it, because I know Scousers you deserve better than that. Can I give you a hug at the Liverpool show? Of course. Somebody licked my head in Belfast, and I'm alright with that as well. That's what these shows are about. All hugs, handshakes, because that's what I'm so excited to come and meet you guys and say thank you and give you a hug. Never mind asking me for it, giving you a hug and say thank you so much, because I can't wait. David Master said, I'm a Scouser, Craig, and you're a good man. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Look, I'm going to go and spend some time with the missus, who's just come back. Irish people, this one's for you. And she showed me a bag of Tayto, normal Irish Tayto, but they now have Mighty Munch flavouring on the Tayto. So I'll let you know what they're like. But as always, I know it gets heated at times tonight, and I know we've gone back and forth and we've talked about a lot of stuff, but I love you guys to bits. Thank you for your support of the channel. Thank you for hearing me out, for listening to me, for understanding, and for having fun with me each and every night. I'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and hopefully at 7:30 for Germany versus Scotland, where we'll be right here. Talk to you then. Have a good one.